call the member for Euroa.
Thank you, Speaker. And I rise this morning to make a contribution on the Environment, Natural Resources and Regional Development Committee's inquiry into the sustainability and operational challenges of Victoria's rural and regional councils, which we know are certainly significant. But on page 17 of their report, they make a very clear reference to the benefits of establishing regular public transport connections to Melbourne as a valuable strategy to get people to live and work in regional Victoria. And in the context of that, Speaker, I wanted to raise my very grave concerns around the performance of this government with public transport in regional communities, particularly in my communities along the Seymour line and the North East and Shepparton lines. I was absolutely gobsmacked this week to see the Minister for Public Transport and the Member for Northern Victoria, Jacqueline Symes, come out and tout the design now of new trains as being a significant milestone, particularly for the North East line, particularly given that we were told in May last year in the state budget that money had been put aside for that. And then we had the Public Transport Minister in October last year telling us that process was underway, and then the Member for Northern Victoria telling us in March this year that that process was underway. And now, 4 months before an election, after doing absolutely zip for 4 years, we have the government coming out and saying that, well, we're entering into a contract with Bombardier to design some new bogies for you, and we're supposed to believe that it will take over a year to figure out how to put a bogie on some new wheels to run on standard gauge. It is absolutely preposterous. Quite honestly, if we go any slower with this process, the Public Transport Minister and the Premier will be in aged care before we even get new trains. It is like we've entered the fourth quarter and they are now just desperately running out the clock before we get to the state election. And this is having a real human impact in my electorate. I've told many stories in here over recent months about people who have been impacted by the failure of the government to buy new trains for our line and to upgrade our service. I've got some more, which I know the member for Frankston's very excited about this morning. Raylene Brown from Broadford contacted me recently. She commutes on the Seymour line. She's been travelling for over 30 years, 5 to 6 days a week on that line, and she says she's never seen the service so bad. She says it's consistently causing her to be late for work and to miss meetings. And she said, often I'm having to catch a train at 6:06 or 6:39 a.m. in order to get to work on time. The ironic thing is that these trains run late as well. The trains once ran on time every day and I was rarely late. I sometimes travel 2 hours each way. It used to take an hour and 10 minutes-ish each way. And she goes on to say there's an increased incidence of trains breaking down. Yes, we make the decision to live where we live. However, we make those decisions on things like infrastructure, e.g. V-Line, and they're saying they have a great service. And she goes on to say that she could choose to quit her job and go on the dole. However, she chooses to work, saving the government money and resources. Unfortunately, there are very little job opportunities in country Victoria, so I have to travel to Melbourne for work. I don't care about the excuses. I want reliability. Yes, more services would be really wonderful, but I just want a fast, efficient, reliable service. I get angry that V-Line increases its fares every year, yet doesn't provide a better service. The fares paid north of Wandong are very high. Why is that? Broadford fares are double that of Wandong. Sonny Martins has had similar experiences travelling from Broadford to Melbourne and back. He emailed me when he was sitting in the cold at the Broadford station recently waiting for his train. He said, I catch the 8:14 a.m. train from Broadford to Seymour Monday to Saturday. In the 2 years I've caught this service, it has had zero consistency, always being 10 to 15 to 20 and up to 40 minutes late. I do not drive as I do not have a licence, but I believe I should have to have a licence because there is meant to be a service I can rely on. Brian Woodhouse-Young sent me some photos of broken train doors on the Seymour line after I met him at the Kilmore East train station recently. He said these doors have been playing up for months, not closing, and has caused a train to be terminated at least once. And after someone stuck a sticker over the door which read, "This toilet is temporarily unavailable," Brian said, I think the sign on the door said more than its creator anticipated. And that is the reality of the service that we are putting up with in country Victoria. It's time the government did something.